If you have been following the news lately, you must have heard about a certain law mandating landlords to insure their properties. It stems from the signing into law of the National Insurance Industry Reform Act. Section 76, subsection 1 states that every public building shall be insured against the hazards of collapse, fire, earthquake, storm, floods, and such other hazards. It goes further to say that insurance policy shall cover the legal liabilities of the owner and the occupier of premises for loss or damage to property or bodily injury or death suffered by any user of the premise and third parties. Subsection 5 defines a public building as a tenement house of more than one floor, hostel, a building occupied by a tenant, and any building in which members of the public have access for the purpose of obtaining educational or medical service or for the purpose of recreation or transaction of business. So it basically just covers everything. Now, there are obvious pros and cons to this mandate. Insuring against fire, flood, death, and full legal liability is not just for the protection of the landlords, it's also for the protection of the tenants. This mandate will also spur competition among insurance companies, with the customers ultimately benefiting. But there is also the very real concern that it can lead to increase of rents as landlords pass on the cost of premiums to tenants. This is where the government can come in. They can do one, limit the extent to which insurance premiums can be transferred to tenants by capping rent increases attributable to insurance cost and rent control regulations. An example is the Lagos State Tenancy Bill, which is currently in the Lagos State Assembly. 2, phased implementation over the next 2 to 3 years to ease the burden. 3, tax reliefs for landlords equivalent to their insurance premiums or provisions of premium subsidies targeting landlords of low-income areas. In addition to this, instead of negotiating separately, landlords can come together as an estate or group of estates to pool resources and buy insurance at discounted rates. As I've emphasized many times, reforms are good, but they must also have a human face.
I wish this law came out like 10 years ago because I had a fire. I was a tenant in a building. And the landlord actually blamed me. I lost everything. I had just the clothes on my back. If you Google, you'll still see it there. 2015, June 26, 2015. And started coming after me. And I'm like, I lost everything. Your building, okay, it's the roof. You still have your house. But I've lost everything. And even it went into my neighbor's house, just with the adjoining wall. And they came after me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't even have insurance, but now I know better to insure my home and the content. So this law is something, is a law that its time has come. And I, to all the reasons you alluded and listed on point, because there is a fear that the tenant will end up bearing the brunt of the premium. You can't put it past the landlords. They will just say, sure, they say, yeah, I should insure you. You are the one. Not forgetting that they own the property as well. So it's beneficial to, it's a symbiotic relationship and it shouldn't be made to look parasitic. So I'm all for it. And yes, I can't add to what you have said. And of course, let me just also say that going for group insurance always brings down the cost.
Yeah, so I'll just speak to one of the things you said the government can do, which is number 1, limit the extent to which insurance premiums can be transferred to tenants. I mean, there has been ongoing conversation around the increment of rents. Yep. Yes, we know that economy is not great.
It's not smiling.
But you cannot blame tenants for what is happening in the economy. Like, we can't be the one bearing the brunt of everything. So I'll just speak to it from an investment point of view, where in the past, people understood that when you're building a house and when you spend money to build a house to have tenants, it's not a return that comes back in a year or 2 years or 3 years. But you then see now that people go into real estate and expecting short-term return when it's supposed to be a long-term investment. So I'm using this opportunity to maybe speak to those that are going into real estate, especially to rent to people, to also understand that they need to do their projections for a very long time. It's supposed to be 10, 20, 30 years, right? So you don't expect that you then begin to get all the money that used to build a house in 1 year, and then because of that, you're giving the tenants ridiculous prices to pay. So I'm just using this opportunity because most times that's where their mentality and mindset is coming from, and that's why this cost would always be pushed to the tenant because they want to make their money back in real time. So please understand the kind of investments you're going to. There are short-term investments in real estate and there are long-term investments. Understand it so that you're not stressing poor Nigerians like you, because really we just have to have a roof over our heads, right?
We are generally an underinsured country. And I like the fact that there's a new wave, new drive to get more people insured. Our insurance is largely inshallah and auzubillah, and it is not my portion in Jesus' name. But I like the fact that, God forbid, we are moving away from that to taking practical actions. We need a new tenancy law in Nigeria, particularly in Lagos, and I like the fact that there is a new one in the works. But then it's not just enough to have new laws, it is also important to enforce, because even the current ones...
Let's not have suggestion of laws.
The current ones are not being enforced. So we need to actively enforce the ones we have, because an average tenant in Lagos is groaning and complaining. In the past 1 or 2 years, everybody's rent has been increased by more than 100%. Pretty much everybody. You talk like, we are moving. Oh, my landlord said, oh, sorry.
If I can't pay, I can't be going.
I like I like the tax relief for landlords equivalent to their premium, because that way they don't even have an excuse to pass it on to the tenant at all. So it's a call to the policymakers, to make that a thing. I had a ridiculous experience recently. The landlord of one of the properties I was renting was trying to pass on the land use charge to me as a tenant. I saw the agreement.
It's what they do.
Okay.
It was in the agreement.
It was in the agreement.
Wow.
A lot of people,
will not read
those things.
And they will
but
sign.
For me, I read every single line.
The last landlord that I tried to do that, I said,
like, is it my property?
No.
Why should I be the one paying the land?
You are not the one to pay. I can tell you that straight off.
I'm not going to sign this agreement. If you don't want to list, please, I'm even tired of engaging with you. So landlords will try to exploit the tenants. So it's important for tenants also to be mindful of their rights and know what it is that is expected of them as a tenant, and also the expectations and responsibility of the landlord.
We can come up with different policies, which we always have to do. As long as it's not enforced, the people will not feel it. It's crazy. As a young person, I feel like this is the hardest to be a young person in our entire generation.
I agree.
It's the hardest because two things. First of all, we're faced with social media pressure, where your classmates and you guys grow up together, you see him in Bali and in Monaco and he's posting champagne, and you're asking yourself, what did I do?
Am I
I mean, your time as a young person, you didn't have to experience.
No, we did not. I did wait.
Once you leave your classmates in primary school, you probably never see them again. You don't even know what's going on with them. But we know what's going on.
Into them somewhere.
There's that, and then there's the whole pressure of like the demands that young men have to meet to be able to be respected in society. There's that. And then there's also the fact that the government is not playing a better role to make sure that there is connectivity within the cities, right? So even if I'm staying in Ekpe, if there's a road that brings me to town and back,
you don't have to move.
I might not be able to spend
as much.
I might not be able to pay for VI, but I can pay for Ekpe 2 million because there's roads
or a train.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like we can't just blame the landlords, right? We have to put all this structures in place to support everything. Like I said, our problem in Nigeria is we like focusing on one thing and not understanding the fact that everything is connected.
Yes.
And so if you
or
finish
you
this
can
one,
make it connect.
Yeah, if you finish this one and this one is not happening, what you've done here is a waste of time. So I feel like as we're bringing in these policies, we should also back it up with other infrastructure and ideas that will make it stand.
Reforms without a human face surely begs the question, in which name are we carrying out the reforms in the first place?
I hear you, Yinka. As kids advocates, you can't go wrong when you put the customer first. Here is an example of how it's done.